Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamerspro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. I was doing some research here and I came across an interesting article from fadeawayworld.net. And this article was basically covering this back and forth of essentially insults between former NBA players Michael Beasley and Nate Robinson. Now, they were arguing over who's the GOAT. Is it Michael Jordan or is it LeBron James? And as someone that produces a lot of content about that, these debates always get people's blood boiling. They generate a lot of conversation, a lot of comments. People have different things that they want to say about it. And some people are very passionate about it on either side. Some people are very passionate LeBron supporters. Some people are very passionate Michael Jordan supporters. And sometimes what usually happens is, we kind of cross the line, and sometimes it gets personal. And people do that usually when they get aggravated, or maybe when they don't have a rebuttal to the points that you brought up, then they now take it to personal shots. And I see it happening on both sides, if I'm being honest with you. And essentially, that's what took place here, because what happened was Nate Robinson was responding to some comments that Michael Beasley made on the OG show, which I think features former NBA player Udonis Haslem and others, where he was basically giving his opinion on, number one, why he believes LeBron is the GOAT. But in the midst of what he was saying, he also kind of took a shot at people who believe Jordan is the GOAT by basically saying that these guys are basically holding on to the past and are living in the past. So what we want to do is want to quickly play what Michael Beasley had to say here about why he believes LeBron James is a GOAT, and why he believes that people who are holding on to MJ are basically holding on to the past. So take a listen to what he had to say here.
Who's your GOAT?
Who's my GOAT all time?
Yep.
LeBron. And I can give you very compelling argument. If we had right here all the players from history, stats, no names.
Yep.
We stack the best point guard, shooting guard, small forward, etc., whatever. Yep. You can put that man's stats up, and he can be the best. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just come on. Like, I feel like people that's saying Michael Jordan is the GOAT, like, no disrespect, but y'all just holding on to old feelings.
So essentially, you heard what Michael Beasley had to say. Now let's go to the article and get into what they had to say here. So it goes, former Heat forward Michael Beasley became the latest to chime in on the GOAT debate, and it's no surprise who he chose. And then it goes on. After former NBA point guard Nate Robinson caught wind of Beasley's argument for LeBron James as the GOAT of basketball, he didn't hold back with his words of judgment. In a comment on Instagram, Nate destroyed his former NBA colleague, and it started a short exchange that went viral online. Bro, stop smoking weed. The reason we say Jordan is the best is because we have eyes and can see his game is just better, bro. It's okay, wrote Robinson. We know you're a LeBron fan, and that's okay. But Jordan made every human on earth, on this earth, want to be like Mike, laughing out loud and wearing his kicks. I still haven't seen one human wear LeBrons with jeans or any regular outfit, LOL. Nate Robinson is an 11-year NBA veteran who spent much of his career battling against LeBron James. Meanwhile, Beasley was a teammate with LeBron and still defends him to this day. Ouch. I thought we were friends, replied Beasley. I get not agreeing with my opinion, but that jab hurt worse than seeing you plank on TV. Now, for those of you who are wondering what he's referring to by plank, Nate Robinson fought Jake Paul over a year and a half ago or so, where Jake Paul won that bout in a convincing manner, and everybody cracked jokes about it. But now it looks like Jake Paul is actually a fighter. So it looks like a lot of people laughing, and Nate Robinson would probably end up in the same situation that Nate Robinson would be in if he actually if they ended up fighting Jake Paul. But I digress. Anyway, what are my thoughts on this exchange? First of all, this is how it goes sometimes, man. Whenever these debates come up, people usually start going at each other's neck. Now, the comments that Michael Beasley made, did they have anything to do with what Nate Robinson made? No, they didn't. What happened was, I think Michael Beasley, one, didn't have a real rebuttal, and two, was probably caught off guard. I don't know why he would take it to that extent, because what he was referring to was an embarrassing moment for Nate Robinson, anybody, right? Being knocked out, especially for the world to see. So I'm not sure why he took that direction. I'm sure Michael Beasley felt like, okay, me saying this, I'm gonna get a few laughs and a few giggles out of people, which I'm sure he probably did, but that doesn't mean that any of what he said was valid. To say that people are holding on to the past, it's not really a good argument to make. That's number one. Number two, there seems to be this negative connotation that is associated with things in the past, as if, well, things that happen in the past are inherently worse than things that are occurring today, or things that are, things that get produced or whatever. And that's just not the case. A prime example of this is movies. Some of the greatest Hollywood pictures are all movies that were produced in the past. Some of the greatest. You're going to tell me Scarface, Godfather, Goodfellas, and all of those movies are terrible because they're old? Well, that would be patently absurd. But nevertheless, people try to make that argument. I think that it is something that people kind of reach for when they don't really have anything tangible to say. So they reach for that and feel like as if they won the argument. They didn't. They just made a comment that had no connection to what they were discussing. What I would have preferred was Michael Beasley to respond with some points. Like, hey, listen, bro, I appreciate you having your opinion. You can kind of talk a little spicy or whatever, but at least hit him back with some facts. But to go about that hurt more and then seeing you getting planked on TV, that ain't got nothing to do with anything, man. Number one. And number two, anybody can get knocked out. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Like Francis Ngannou just got knocked out. So who are you? Like, what is it? What does that mean? But so what, you would have got in the ring and what? You would have put your goon down on? Like, come on, stop. Like, let's just stop. Yesterday, there was a game on television between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Milwaukee Bucks. Going into that game, we found out that LeBron was not going to be playing because of an ankle or whatever the hell the case is. I don't know. But he wasn't going to play. And I saw various people and creators talking about that news. I didn't care one way or the other. So what happened? The game commenced, and I was kind of tuning in and tuning out. I was actually watching the movie. Believe it or not, I was watching John Wick. Actually, my first time watching that movie, I was watching the first one. Movie started off interesting, and then at one point, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? But maybe I'll finish it and see. I don't know. So I was watching that, and I was kind of going back and forth. And when I was watching, or for the moments I tuned in, the Lakers always seem to be down by 10, 12 points or whatever like that. So going into the second half, I was like, well, the Lakers look like they're going to lose. I switched over and I saw that they were down, I think by 10 or something like that, just managing a 10-point lead. So as I was preparing to go to bed, I looked up and I saw 117 and 117 on my phone on the NBA app. And I'm like, what? So I tuned in to see what the hell was going on, and it was a tie game. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So I remember at one point, Giannis was being fouled. And I think that the Bucks were down 3 points. Giannis was at the free throw line. And I was moving around my office, and I'm like, I'm not even going to watch. I was actually laughing. I'm like, he going to miss at least one of them. And I could just hear it in the background going, Giannis misses the first one. Oh, and he misses the second. I'm like, no big surprise. So what happened? What happens? The Lakers go on to essentially win that game. So they won the game, and I went to go look at the box score to see exactly what the hell happened. And essentially what happened was in the second half, the Lakers ended up scoring 59 to the Milwaukee Bucks 43. And then I thought about an exchange that I saw yesterday on television between Kendrick Perkins and Shannon Sharpe. Yesterday, they were discussing the state of affairs with the Lakers and the Los Angeles Clippers. And during that conversation, they got into this whole conversation of who has expectations and blah, 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 blah. And as Kendrick Perkins was talking, he then brought up a point, which was the following. He said, but Shannon, we all know that the Lakers are doo-doo. And we also know that LeBron knows that this team isn't any good. So what do you expect? Now, for those of you who maybe didn't hear that, I want to play it for you now. I'm going to come back and react to what was said there. Take a listen to that there.
I'm done with the playoffs. The Lakers have the type of team that you thought the Clippers had because we got GOAT James and Anthony Davis has been on a mission. You said you wanted to see him stay healthy. You wanted him to play like the talent suggests the talent that he is. He's giving you that. Dinwiddie did a great job last night filling in for D'Lo. D'Lo's been great. Since that trade deadline, we still telling him, we whispering in his ear, you know the trade deadline's still out there because he been balling. We ain't going to let him know that the trade deadline over and we can't move it.
You know what that is,
No.
You know what that is? You know what that is, Molly? It's an old saying. You can smell doo-doo before you see it. We've been smelling doo-doo the whole season long when it comes down to the Lakers. Like they sitting in a nice spot. So what are we talking about? First of all, they got to get into the postseason. That's number one. So when I'm looking at the Clippers, it's a bigger deal because of the expectations. LeBron James don't even have expectations for this Lakers team. He knows that they trash. He knows that they can't make any noise. That's why you, along with LeBron, was one of the ones at the trade deadline, include myself, saying trade. Get you another star in there. Get you a wing defender. Because we all know if they happen to get up against the Sacramento Kings, we know how the Sacramento Kings own them. We know how Sabonis owns AD in that matchup. And then if they happen to get to that next round or play against a Dallas Mavericks in the play-in tournament, you sure you want to go on the road and play against a Luka Doncic or a Kyrie Irving the way that they've been falling?
Perk, this is what we know. All that what you said could be true. But the Clippers will never have the expectations of GOAT James. You know that, I know that. You can say whatever you want to say.
So you heard what was said there. Now, if you paid attention to that game, I actually posted about it on our community board last night. I actually came to the channel and I said, Lakers are playing like they're trying to make it into the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Clippers are playing like they are working on their vacation itineraries, and various people started chiming in. Of course, there were some irrelevant comments. Some of the people that be stalking our page, they were there. Of course, putting up their irrelevant comments. I don't even know what to say. But anyway, people were commenting on that. So if you saw that game, you saw that the Lakers had some real talent on the floor. And players like Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves was the one that hit that big 3-point shot to really put them ahead in that game. He was the one that really, he hit that shot, and that was really the shot that clinched the game for them. He had 29 points. Get this, 14 rebounds on 50% shooting from the field, and he also had 10 assists. Austin Reeves had a triple-double. Rui Hachimura also chipped in 16 points. Anthony Davis had a beast mode game of 34 points, 4 blocks, and 23 rebounds. That was a beast mode game, although he didn't shoot very well from the field, only 38%. 38.7, but it doesn't matter because he was aggressive. He took 31 shots as it should be. He was the lead guy on the floor. And D'Angelo Russell, who's been a godsend for them, he also had 29 points and 12 assists. So I want to go back to Kendrick's comments. For a roster that is doo-doo, how do you explain occurrences like what we just witnessed? How do we explain that? How do you have a roster when one guy gets a triple double, the other guy gets a 34, 4 and 23 rebound game, and you got another guy scoring 29 points with 12 assists, and LeBron wasn't on the floor? So how do we reconcile those comments? How do we do it? Here are the facts of the matter. The Lakers are one of the most enigmatic teams in the entire NBA. I don't know if the Lakers are good or if the Lakers are bad. I don't know. No one can really tell at this point. What I do know is that they are a totally different team without LeBron than they are with him. For whatever reason, you see the ball moving a little bit more. Guys are getting their shots. But most importantly, the offense is predominantly ran through Anthony Davis, and he's getting the lion's share of the shots. Now, obviously, those numbers are inflated. I think that game went to double OT, so those numbers won't be as gaudy in a normal regulation game. But it was pretty surprising. Those guys didn't play like doo-doo, which then takes us to the next point, which is, are the Lakers going to be a threat or not? They just went in there and beat the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee with Giannis Antetokounmpo, with Damian Lillard. Chris Middleton played. Bobby Portis played. These guys played. And they still found a way to go in there and beat them. Now, obviously, Doc Rivers said at the end of the game, listen, when you get your foot off the brake and blah, 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 whatever, it didn't matter. The fact is the Lakers won the game. You got to give them credit for that. But it's going to be pretty interesting to reconcile this thing of the Lakers are trash, and then you see occurrences like this. And one should be able to surmise that, hey, wait a minute, if they're able to go out there and play this well, if you now add LeBron back into the lineup, they should be even better, right? They should be better. If they get worse, then we got to understand, okay, what's really going on here? Let me get into this topic here. So there was recently this conversation that LeBron had on his show, Mind the Game. Apparently, they dropped a new episode. I only know this because one of his supporters, who's supposed to be at work, I don't know what these dudes be doing every day, messaged me and goes, oh, LeBron is just dropped another show. I'm like, why are you telling me this? But anyway, he was on the podcast there, and he was discussing who he believes were the most influential players to ever play basketball. And he essentially said that it was Stephen Curry and Allen Iverson. Some of us pushed back. I'm like, that's absurd, because these guys you're mentioning were all influenced by MJ. So how is MJ not the most influential when all of these people that you're mentioning were influenced by the guy? So what happened? Paul Pierce, who now is a new member on Undisputed, he weighed in on this conversation, and he said that he believes that Stephen Curry is the most influential NBA player and has had the biggest impact on the game of basketball than any other player. And I had heard the comments, but I didn't get a chance to producing anything about it. So of course these people were running around, oh, you running, where you ain't got enough, when you ain't saying nothing about it. And I'm like, bro, relax. Here we are. So today we're producing the show. So what we want to do is want to play exactly what Paul Pierce had to say. It isn't a very long audio, but want you guys to listen to his reasoning, and then we're going to come back and give you guys our thoughts. Take a listen to what Paul Pierce had to say here.
Because all right, let me spill mine. This is what was said. I said he had the biggest influence on the game of basketball because of the way everybody play right now. Everybody trying to emulate him at the guard. Everybody feel like I can get to the league if I can make threes from deep. And now I see it you a coach. You see it in the AAU circuit. You see it in high school. You see it in college. Every time down, the guard is just saying, if I can make these threes, or 3 is better than 2. And I feel like Curry got a lot to do with it because attempts are way up. Nobody was shooting from half court, from logo before Steph. So you trying to tell me he didn't influence the game? When I go to the pickup games, everybody think they can shoot threes. When I look at the games night in and night out, everybody's emulating, not only because of Steph, But I think Golden State did this too. It was a combination of Steph and the Golden State Warriors to where they showed you that you can win a championship shooting threes. Steph showed you you can win an MVP being a three-point shooter. And we've never seen that before, where a guy who shot most of his attempts from three be so dominant. So what's your thought on that? His influence on the game is greater. And I want you to tell me why, because I just feel like Steph is like, all I do is go to the gym and shoot threes now.
So you heard what Paul Pierce had to say. So I have a lot of things that I want to say, but I disagree with Paul Pierce. He said that before Stephen Curry came on the scene, we had never seen people taking the amount of 3-pointers that they do nowadays to win championships. Before Jordan came on the scene, who were the 6'6" guards that you could build dynasties around? I didn't say guards that you can win a championship around. In NBA history, who were the 6'6" guys prior to MJ coming into the NBA that you could actually have lead your charge to win championships? Who are those players? There was nobody. As a matter of fact, conventional wisdom stated that for you to win championships, you needed big men. And that's what the game dictated. Now, Magic Johnson and these guys are 6'8". Magic Johnson is really a forward playing the point guard position. Larry Bird and all of these guys are much bigger than MJ. And then, of course, you have the Wilt Chamberlains. You have the Bill Russells. You have all of these guys who are gobbling up all of the championships. But then here you had a guy that's 6'6", and he was the main point of emphasis. And teams were now able to win championships off of those guys. Jordan was a part of a dynasty, 6 championships. Then you had Shaq and Kobe, but then you had Kobe again, who you were able to win championships with a 6'6" guard, basically running your offense through the post through a guard. In Kobe, they used to run the triangle on both sides of the floor, either through Powell or Kobe. Let me repeat it once more. You're running the triangle offense, which is anchored by a 6'6" guard, not a power forward, not a center. Not a power forward, not a center. But yet and still, they were still able to win championships. And then you had other players like Dwayne Wade, like LeBron James, who's 6'8". But Jordan was the one that ushered that in. That's the first part. The second part, an argument could be made that Stephen Curry has actually ruined the game of basketball instead of influencing it. Because with the advent of the three, Stephen Curry has done something where all of these people taking threes have taken the common sense out of basketball. Now, that may seem like a controversial position to take because analytics people will tell you, no, you're dumb. You don't know what you're talking about. The numbers say that, listen, if you're shooting a certain percentage from three, it would make more mathematical sense to take more threes than twos, or take a lot of threes while you shoot a certain percentage, and then you win championships. Okay, here's my rebuttal to that. Give me 3 examples where teams have won championships executing that formula that were not the Golden State Warriors. Give me 3 examples. Matter of fact, give me 2. There is no other example except the Golden State Warriors. Now, why is it important to point this out? Because teams were fooled into believing that they could win championships playing the style of basketball that the Warriors played, forgetting that they don't have the personnel. You don't have 2 of the 3 greatest shooters in NBA history on your roster, or the greatest shooters in Stephen Curry. Distant shooters, by the way, Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson. You don't really have an Army Swiss knife. Swiss knife like a Draymond Green. So you don't have the personnel, but yet you're trying to replicate what they did. And how many teams were successful doing that? Nobody. Even the last championship, the Denver Nuggets, they had a balanced offense. They attacked the 3-point line, the mid-range, and the post. You look at the Milwaukee Bucks, the same thing. You look at the Los Angeles Lakers with the 2020 Lakers, the same thing. You look at the Kawhi Leonard's Toronto Raptors, the same thing. And it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But then you have the Golden State Warriors, and you have this example, and now people want to basically copy them because the NBA is a copycat league. I've been saying this for a long time. And now you want to make it seem like it changed the game for the better. No, one could make an argument that it ruined the game. Now, what argument can we make that Jordan ruined basketball? Because if you remove Jordan, you remove the money in basketball. You remove the branding and the shoe deals. You remove the international appeal, so you will reduce the revenue. That's what happens when you remove Jordan. If you remove Stephen Curry, the NBA will still be as big as it always been. Not to discount Stephen Curry because he's an absolute all-time great, but I don't see any sensible argument that one could make to say, listen, there's a player more influential over the sport of basketball than Jordan. That is patently absurd. That is just patently absurd. Jordan influenced people all over the globe to even care about basketball. Forget about playing it. Care about it. That's the fundamental difference that we are not measuring. Jordan made people care about the sport. Understand that. Don't discount that. Jordan brought the moolah to the game. Magic and Bird saved it. Jordan took it to a different stratosphere, and oh, might I add, a stratosphere that it has not been since his retirement. We're not even going to talk about the impact that he had on shoes and the impact that he's had on players like your Allen Iverson, like your LeBron James, like your Kobe Bryant, like whoever the hell you can think of. So I will always disagree with that. No, I don't care who's saying it.